Hey you YouTubers, Tasman here, and I'm bringing you a new part of my Minecraft from the ground up series. We're going to learn how to set up our very own 1.6.2 server and also using Craftbukkit. And as an addition, we're also going to add in the plugin PEX, which is PermissionsEX, which gives you the permissions and groups and fun stuff like that. So let's get started. The very first thing we need is we log on to our Minecraft.net account and click the download now. And normally we just download the exe up here, but for this we want to download way down here. It says Minecraft server 162.jar. We're going to go ahead and download that. And we're going to do save as, and we're going to save it here. And the other thing I wanted to point out is the Java command. This is what executes this jar file. Now normally if you just download the exe, you double click it and it goes, but you don't have as many options that you can set, and I don't know specifically that Craftbukkit works with that. If you know, you can tell me in the comments below. But so now we've downloaded that. We're going to talk about this command in just a little bit, and I already have the launch file that we need for that, so we'll go over that in a minute. The next thing we're going to need is Craftbukkit itself, and you can get that. This is a dev version. Normally you can just get it at I think it's bukkit.org. Well, let's see, what is that? Yeah, bukkit.org. But to get a dev version, you actually need to come to dl.bukkit.org. And we don't want the one version for 1.5.2. We want a dev version. So we're going to click the alternate versions here. And then this big red button that says I can't speak today. Development build 162.ro.1. Which is this guy up here at the very top. That's what we want because we don't want 1.5.2. So we're going to click that big red button there. We're going to go ahead and save it to the exact same place that we just saved our Minecraft jar. It's on our desktop in a folder I created called 1.6.2 mc_bukkit. And that can be anything you want, but we're going to go ahead and save there. And this will take a minute depending on how fast the Craftbukkit site is. Oh. And 79, 80, 81, 82, 83. Alright, so we don't need this window anymore, and we'll come back into this to get our PermissionsEX. Alright, so it's complete. Let's go ahead and close that, and we'll go ahead and open up our, oh, wrong one. That's the one I was testing with. We want that one. Okay, now this is the file that I said I already created. Just I'm kind of a slow typer, so I didn't want to have to type all this stuff. But here's what I wanted to show you guys. If we go, let's just do this real quick in regular edit maybe. Yeah, there we go. If I do it in my Notepad++, you won't be able to read this. So this command up at the top, you don't need any of this part right here. This is more just for your knowledge. So if we put this echo off, is just a batch file command. It just makes it so nothing is output in the output window or the console window aside from what is launched from our Craftbukkit jar. So what I wanted to explain is this is kind of the same thing as we saw on their site, saying Java and the XMX and the XMS and the jar, and instead of Craftbukkit they actually had the Minecraft server. But what I wanted to explain really quick is if you have multiple versions of Java on your machine and you want to use a specific one, you might want to use your environmental variable and this will go to, because my system's a 64-bit, this will go to the 64-bit version of Java, and it's Java version 7, and it will use that Java exe. So you can force that. The one on the Minecraft site just lists Java. If Java's in your environmental variables, or not in your path, I mean, then it will launch whichever one is associated there. The next thing I want to talk about is the XMX and the XMS. Now the XMS is the initial size of the memory allocation pool that Java is going to use. And in this case, it's 1024 megs. Now this is also 1 gig. Now if we wanted to make it so the default size of the pool is actually larger, then we could change this to 2048 for 2 gigs, 4096 for 4 gigs, so on and so forth. The initial size, if you ask me, is probably fine. What you might want to change is the maximum size that the allocation pool can grow to. And like my system has 8 gigs, so I could comfortably change this to 2048, which is 2 gigs. So now my Java will actually launch the Craftbukkit jar with 1 gig initially, and allow it to expand up to, or use up to 2 gigs of memory before it says, okay, you're done, you can't take any more. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that. So anyway, that is our file. And like I said, this file could be simply this one line. Now the other thing is this is the file we downloaded. As I said, I pre-created that, but basically what you can do is you just highlight this guy, grab the whole line, copy, and if you want you could even get rid of all this other mumbo jumbo. I like to keep it just because then I can know exactly what version I'm on. And then if you go back in here, right after the jar, which is saying what jar am I launching with this Java, you just hit Control V and there you go. And then you simply say save. And basically that is all you really need to get Craftbukkit and Minecraft running, is just this launcher. The Craftbukkit will actually go and launch the version of Minecraft server. I've found that it doesn't matter. Actually, I never tried it without it. It used to be that it was just called Minecraft server. I just leave the 162 on there once again so I know exactly what version is running. But let's go ahead and click our launch. And as you can see, this is launching everything. We're going to get lots of errors on this initial launch. It's creating the world. But also, as you can see here, it's creating all the files, the ones that Minecraft itself creates, plus the ones that Craftbukkit is creating for us. So here we go. Everything's creating. Everything is now done. We're going to go ahead and issue the command stop to stop the server, because now we want to do some configurations of the server. So first thing we want to do is add ourselves to the ops. So if we go in here and we'll go into Notepad++, actually probably just double click that. I'm going to add me to the ops file. Now we'll close that out. And we also, I like to have a whitelisted server. If you want a completely open server where anyone can just join, then you don't need to whitelist it. But I always prefer whitelisting it. I don't know what that's going to launch in. Let's just tell it to Notepad. So I'm going to add me to the whitelist too. And whoop, not open. And that is good. Okay, so now we have those two. The other thing we want to do is go into the Bukkit YML, because right now Bukkit will not let you know unless there's actually a release version, a recommended build of Bukkit. And so what we want to do is go in here and we want to scroll down all the way to where it says preferred channel. Now right now the preferred channel is the recommended build. So if there's an update, Bukkit will pop up at the very beginning saying, hey, there's an update, you might want to update your Bukkit. But we're running a dev build, so we're going to have to type dev in there so we don't always get a thing telling us that we need to add that if we're running dev and we want to know when dev versions are updated, which are quite frequently. So now that we have those, we can go to the server properties. Now you might already know a lot about the server property file, but I'm still going to go over it. So here, the ones I mostly care about is we can change our world name to, let's just say TazCraft. Enable query if you want other devices, servers and such to be able to query how many players. You could set that to true, allow flight. We're just going to leave the default port. Level type is default. Archon, we're going to leave that disabled. Level seed, we don't have one specifically. Force game mode false. Server IPs, so we go through this whole list. We want to change down here whitelist to true so that it actually requires you to be on the whitelist. Spawn animals. Snooper settings, just because this is a testing, I'm going to set this to false. All the Snooper does is allows your server to send some basic information to Mojang so that they can kind of get trending. But this isn't even going to be around that long. I'm pretty much deleting it after. Online, you need online mode if you want people to be able to join. PvP. Now difficulty, I like setting this to 3, which is hard. 2 is normal and 1 is easy. This is the default game mode, so everyone that joins will be in survival. Max players, you can, I believe with 2 gigs of RAM you can have up to 32 players. But I think this will simply at 20 players say the server's full. We want to spawn monsters, generate structures, and then this is our message of the day. So we'll just call this Tasman's test 1.6.2. Okay, so there we go. There's all we need for that. And we can go ahead and close you out and you out. And pretty much that is all we need. We do not need these world files because we actually changed the name of the world that our server is going to be to TazCraft. These are just the default, they're just world. You didn't have to change that to TazCraft. I just like it in case I have multiple worlds or something like that to distinguish them. So we're going to delete these 3 guys because it will recreate new ones called TazCraft. And we're going to launch our MCBat again. And now you'll see that it's telling us that this is a dev version, snapshot, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually creating our new worlds. TazCraft, TazCraft Nether, and TazCraft End. And there's the seed it's using for, which one is that? I believe that's the overworld, the Nether, and possibly the End, I think. So now, there we go. Our server is up and running. It's running Craftbukkit. However, it's not running any plugins. Now, using plugins with Craftbukkit is actually pretty easy. Let's go ahead and stop our server once again. And you can see it's closing everything and it's done. So here we have all our files, and right here is the plugins folder. Now we were here, and what you want to do for PermissionsEX, that's the only plugin I'm really going to go over because I find it very handy and I really like it. So you can find other plugins, and if you go to Craftbukkit's main site, if we go to home, if we go to the bukkit.org, you can click Get Plugins, which will take you to plugins.bukkit.org, and here you can choose the category, and you can choose just about everything under the sun that you might want as far as anti-griefing tools, economy things so you can earn money, and so on and so forth. And each of the plugins here actually have usually have little wiki entries or little instructions on how to set them up. Some are easy, some are hard. We'll just leave it at that. So let's see, we're done with that guy. So here I just typed PermissionsEX into Google search and it pulled up this first one. So we're going to go ahead and click that. We don't need that guy. And this is the PermissionsEX plugin. Now PermissionsEX actually has three parts. There's the PermissionsEX itself. There's Chat Manager, I believe, which allows you to have those fancy colored chat messages and prefixes above before your name and such. And then we have Multi-World, I think it was called. We'll find out in just a second. So we're going to click download real quick. Download there, and this time I'm just going to open it because it's a zip file. And we're going to minimize that. We're going to open up our plugins folder here. And here we go. Here, Modify World. Is that what I said? I don't remember. So there's Chat Manager, Modify World, and PermissionsEX. That's all you have to do to install the plugins. Now, in order to configure the plugins, you have to launch your server one more time, and it'll go into this plugins folder, and it will create individual little folders at the top for the configuration files for each of those, which is really nice. So let's go ahead once more. We're going to launch our MC launcher, and here you can see PermissionsEX is running now. Chat Manager is launching. Modify World is running too. So that's it. We're going to stop real quick. And we're going to do some basic last configurations. We're going to go into our plugins, and as you can see, we have new folders here. So I like to run my PermissionsEX from a database. You don't have to do that. If you don't want to do that, then you can simply use this file. All you have to do is change. This is the default group. You would just kind of create your own group underneath this. Actually, you don't have to do that. Let's talk about something else. You don't have to do anything. I was thinking of a different permissions program. So let's go into the permissions config YML. Okay, and this is the basic one. So it's saying that it's using permissions YML, and if you don't want to use a database, then you don't have to change anything in here. I do like using mine as a database, so I'm actually going to replace these with some pre-done text here. Let me just explain really quick what it is. This points to the plugins, the PermissionsEX directory, which we're in. As you can see, plugins PermissionsEX. It tells the server that backend is SQL, the driver is MySQL, and I've already created a database in my localhost MySQL server called Tazcraft, and I created a user. The user's Tasman, password's password. But this is what you need to know is if you look at the template, localhost, if you're hosting this elsewhere, this is where you would put the database IP address or domain information. And then this last piece right here is simply the database itself. So by doing that, we're going to save that now. This PermissionsEX will actually connect to my database, and it will create the files that are necessary. Because as you can see right now, I have no tables in my database. And so let's launch one more time our launcher, and you'll see here that it's connecting. And here you can see it's connecting to database localhost Tazcraft, and it connected, which is good. You won't always see these parts where it's saying deploying the schema. This is because it didn't have any data in there already. So here we go, Chat Manager. So everything else looking great. Now this time we're not going to actually close down, but if we go into our database and refresh this line, we'll see we have a permissions file. We have permissions entity table, and we have inheritance. Now, as a default, it creates this default, which is default group. We're going to add two groups. We're going to add a members group and we're going to add an admins group. Now most of this can actually be done through while in game. So if we go here and we can do this. The first part we need to do out of game. We need to do it in the console itself. The first thing we want to do is create an admin group. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste in the PEX group admins create. So this is telling PEX that it's a group command and it's the admins that we're doing, the group admins, and we're creating it. And as you can see here, group is created. Alright, the next thing we need to do for our admins group, because right now it's just a group called admins. It doesn't know what admins is or what to do with it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our next command, which is right here, which is PEX group. So this is saying the group admins. Now we're adding the permissions for it, and it's permissions.star, which allows the admin group to run any permissions. Now the next thing I want to do is add me to the admins group. And the way you do this is with this command, PEX user tasman, or T4ZZ M4NN, group set admins. Now there's two commands or two parts of adding to a group. This actually removes tasman from any other group, because when it's created it actually would put tasman. The first time I log in it put tasman in the default group. This will actually force tasman to only be in the admins group. So let's go ahead and do that. And now I am the admins. Yes, I'm the only admin. So the next thing we want to do is actually do one more command, and this is kind of a safety net. If somehow I got knocked out of my group, I want to still be able to execute any commands the admins can. So if I changed my group for testing something, I still want to be able to do that. So there's this command, which is similar to the permissions, the group admins permissions, but this time we're doing PEX user. So we're using the user command, and the user that's being used, or the user that's being called is tasman. We're setting the group, and you also could use add, which will leave you in other groups, or you can use the set, which removes you from other groups and adds you only there. So this is going to take user tasman and add me or set me to the admin group. Now with that, I can do all my other commands from in-game, which is kind of handy to do because you might want to actually do things on the fly. When people join, you might want to add them to the members group. Now this other part I can actually do here in the console too, but I'm going to show you how you do PEX commands in the game and how you can, set group ranks and fancy prefixes before the names and such like that. So we're gonna, actually, I just remember one last thing. Let's stop the server one last time. Sorry. Oh, you have to spell stop right. S-T-O-P. One last thing I forgot to do in our, this one right here, plugins. We forgot to go into Chat Manager. In this config file, we simply want to enable it. This will allow the pretty neat text, colors and such. So we're just going to change this to true. Alright, so there we go. We'll close you, and close you. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead. Let's launch the server one last time. As you can see, everything is launching good, and we're all good to go. I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to launch Minecraft, get in there, and we'll continue from there. And we're back. So now we're in Minecraft itself. As you can see, our server is still running in the background. And we are going to add a server. We have all our other servers, but we're going to actually add our new one. I'm just going to call it testing 1.6.2 Bukkit. Let's just call it that. Server address. Now you should just be able to do local localhost. If not, you can also usually, if that doesn't, that should work. But if not, you can always do 127.0.0.1, which is also localhost. And as you can see here, we have Tasman's test 162. So it's actually seeing it. We have good ping on it, and it has 20 up to 20 players. So let's go ahead and join in. And wonderful in a jungle. Alright, so as you can see, now we're in our server, and if we want to do those other commands now, we can. So the first thing we're going to want to do, and we, like I said, we could do this. The only difference between doing this in game and out of game is right here. How do I paste you? There. Instead of just PEX, we have a slash to tell it it's a command. So this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to create a members group so that we'll have a default group people are assigned to when they join the server. We'll have the admins group, which is the admin of the server, or admins if there's more than one. And we're going to create a member group. So we're just going to do PEX group member create. And that creates our member group. As you can see, it's created. Whoops, wrong button. The next thing we want to do is set the ranks for our groups. So the higher the number in the rank is the lower its permissions. So our first group we're going to set is going to be the default group, and we do this by saying PEX group default set rank 1000. Now this can be any number. It could be 10 if you wanted, and 5 for members and 1 for admins. We're just going to use 1000. That gives us lots of room for other groups and things we might want to do in the future. So let's set that, and as you can see, rank is set. Oh. And we're going to do that also for our members, our member group. And we're going to set that one to 900. And we're going to do that for our admins group. And one last thing I should do, since it's getting dark and I don't want to die. There we go. And let's just fly up here a little ways. Oh, there's a nice little desert over there. Alright. There we go. Is that a desert? Yeah. Okay. So now we have the group rank set for all 3 of our groups, right? So now you've probably been on lots of servers where the admin and members all have pretty fancy, nice little prefixes to their names to let you know who they are. So let's do that next. So, and this is why we enable the chat manager. So let's first add the member prefix, and we're going to do that by typing this. Now these are the color codes, and you can look them up in the Minecraft wiki. They're actually there in various other places. So I'm not going to go into explain all those. I believe 0 is the default black or whatever. 7 is white, I think. And then there's the things in between. So anyway, the 8 here is actually what it is. And I just put TC here for TazCrafter. This could be member, this could be, I just like it kind of short. But the command here is PEX group member prefix and you do quotes, and then you just put what you want the prefix to be. So we're going to do that, and that sets that prefix. And keep hitting the wrong button there. And we're going to grab this next line, which is the admin's prefix. We'll let default people be boring. And there's the admins, so the color actually for the word admins is going to be 4. Hit enter there. Now the next thing we need to do, because right now basically there's no difference between your default people and your your default group and your member group. So what we want to do is set permissions. And the first thing we want to do is make it so when someone joins this server, they can't do anything except for chat. So they can't break any bricks, place any blocks, break any blocks. They can't do anything. It becomes a very boring thing. So what we're going to do is, as a default, as you remember in here, let's go ahead and refresh our table real quick. As a default, you see that the default group has modify world, right? And here you can see the other settings we've done. But we don't want them to be able to modify the world. So we run this command, which is pex group default remove modify world, and this will take that out of the database, so they can no longer do anything basically in the world. So if we come here, refresh our database, you'll see default no longer has modify world. However, we do want members, well, we do want our default people to be able to chat. We want them to be able to say, hey, I just joined, can I please at least become a member? So for that, we're going to add them a special rule. We're going to do pex group default add modify world, but not star, which is the wild card. We're going to say only chat. So there we go. And now when a default member gets on, they should be able to chat, but not anything else. Should be very boring for them. Okay, so wrong button again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so the member group can modify the world, because as a default they didn't have that default modify world in their thing. As you can see, member just has ranks. They don't have any permissions as a default. And if we refresh you'll see now that default has modify world chat. So we want to make it so that our our members can actually do that. So we're doing pex group member add modify world dot star or dot asterisk, which is the wild card. And there we go. Finally, we want to also make sure, just as a safety precaution, that we want admins also to have full modify world commands too, because the permissions star and the modify world star are two different plugins basically. So we also want to give the modify world one. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's pex group admins add modify world dot asterisk. Do that, and now our admins should be able to run any command or do anything that modify world stops people from being able to do. So now this next part, I'm actually going to log out and we're going to test it. Oh, it's kind of laggy. Jungles are always laggy for me. Oh well. So I'm going to go ahead, pause the recording here, and I'm going to load up CJ Murray. Actually, we need to do something first. First, we need to make it so CJ Murray, which is my wife's character, can actually log in on the server. And because we have the whitelist. Now we could go exit this and actually there was one other command first. once we've done all these settings, sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. Once we've done all these settings, they don't take effect until PEX has been reloaded. Now you can do that by actually restarting the server, or you can run the command PEX reload. And this will make it reload everything, so now the game knows about all the permissions we've set, and it should work if I say hi. You'll see it says admins, Tasman, hi. So there's that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and log off now after I add, let's see, WHITELIS list. I think it's add. Is that right? Let's try that. Yeah, add CJ_MURAY. Oh. Now, if this wasn't there, obviously she's not whitelisted. She wouldn't be able to log into the server. So by doing that, now she's on the whitelist. And I believe we need to do, well, let's see, T whitelist. I think, is it reload? No, not remove. Reload. There we go. That reloaded our whitelist. So now I don't have to restart the server, and CJ Murray should be able to get on. So now, this time for reals, I'm going to log off really quick. I'm going to log on as CJ Murray, and we'll show you how she can't do hardly anything. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're back, and we're on as CJ Murray. So here we are. We're going to join my testing server. Join. And here's CJ Murray. Obviously we're in the protected area, but we're going to go a ways away. Oh. With all the stuff I have loading or running in the background, jungles are the worst. You'll see that even coming further away, still can't break anything. Nothing. We're well past the 16 blocks. I don't remember where that desert was. And I don't know if I would be able to get there. Let's just see really quick. Hello, cow. Can I punch a cow? I never tried that. Wow, I can't even punch a cow. So as you can see, complete world protection going on here. CJ Murray can't do anything. However, she can type. Hello. And notice it doesn't say anything special. It just says CJ Murray. Now we're going to do CJ Murray a huge favor really quick. And we are going to set the time. Time set 0. And CJ Murray is very grateful. But now we want to actually give CJ Murray some additional rights. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and we could do this in game, but I can't have two versions of Minecraft with two logged in accounts running. I tried. You used to be able to do that, but now you can't, which is kind of sad. But so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our console, and we're going to go ahead and run the command to add CJ Murray, who's currently, if we do, I think it's PEX user US user CJ _MURAY list, I think. So you see here that CJ Murray's permission, that wasn't what I wanted. User list, let's try, maybe it's just user. PEX user will list them all. There you go. So here you can see CJ Murray's in default, Tasman's in admins. So we want to actually add CJ Murray to the members group so she can actually do some stuff. So we're going to paste, well actually no, not that. I didn't copy it yet. So I'm going to go grab my command over here real quick, and we are going to paste it in here, which is PEX user CJ Murray group add, and we're adding her to members. So, oh whoops, I don't need the slash. Silly me. Okay, there we go. So now if we run that same command, you'll see now CJ Murray is in members. Now, of course, like I said before, CJ Murray still can't break anything because I haven't reloaded PEX. So that's where I need to come in here and do PEX reload. And now, if we go back, if CJ Murray types hello again, H-E-L, oh. Did I do that? Hello? Oh, maybe I missed a command somewhere. Modify world. Member. Let me check the database real quick. Tables. Permissions. Refresh. Member. Modify world. Oh, I added her to members. Oh, silly me. Well, that actually brings us to that actually is okay. So as you can see now, CJ Murray is even more limited because I added her to a group that she doesn't exist in, which is why when she types hello, nothing happens. So, and that's simply because I had one little typo. So let's fix that real quick. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to learn if someone is in a group and or you don't want them in that group anymore, you can remove them from that group because we don't have a members group. So let's do that real quick. Silly me. Oh, not mark, paste. Alright, so we're going to remove, so PEX, oh, might remove that. Oh, I'm a little scatterbrained. So PEX user CJ Murray group remove members. There we go. And we're going to go back to our other one and we're going to delete the S. And now she's actually added to the member group. So if we do our PEX user again, now she's just a member. If we reload PEX, now our mute here can say hello, and as you notice it says TC. So now she's a member. She can actually break things. She can actually hit cows. But she can't do anything else. I mean, she can do all Minecraft related things. She can't do any special admin commands. So there you go. Let's see, was there any other little components I wanted to say? I don't think so. So let's just go over what we learned real quick. What we've learned is how to download the Minecraft jar file, download and install Craftbukkit and get it running with a specified amount of memory. We have also learned how to download and install plugins because they're all pretty much the same the way they do it. Specifically with PEX, we learned how to use a database with it. We've learned how to add groups and add colored text and all that fun stuff. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted. We even went over how we added to the wrong group or a non-existent group and was able to regulate that and fix it by adding and removing. One other thing you can do is you can also use there's a promote and demote. So if I wanted to do PEX, I think it's user CJ underscore Murray P-R-O-M-O-T-E promote new. Let's try this. Maybe it'll tell us CJ Murray PEX. I know it's something like that. You can always look it up. I can't remember that specific one. Groups that add. I'll look really quick, but it's not specifically what I was thinking of doing. Oh, there it is. PEX promote user. Okay, so that's all you'd have to do. So if a new person got on and you wanted to quickly, without having to type all the stuff, you knew that the next tier up from default would be member, you could actually just do PEX PROMOTE promote CJ_MURAY. And CJ is now promoted to an admin because that's the next group up in our ranks. And if we don't want her there anymore, we can always demote. And now she's back in the users, or the member. So there you go, guys. I hope you found this tutorial very useful. If so, I would really appreciate it if you click the thumbs up button down below. If you haven't already and you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. And as always, leave comments down below. Help me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what you want to see. And other than that, guys, I'm not going to do the voice. My throat is a little sore, so I'll just do mine. Until next time, guys, I will be seeing you later. Bye.